In 1945, I considered myself a very lucky man because I was the announcer on the New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. My name is Harry Bartell. Won't you join me now as I reminisce about those wonderful days of dramatic radio? Glenn Hall Taylor was the producer of the show. He was the Young and Rubicam representative, Young and Rubicam being the advertising agency for Petri Wines. And Edna Best, in the season that I was on the show as the announcer, was the director. So that Glenn Hall would provide commercial material and so forth for Edna's use, and then Edna directed the show in the booth. She was the one who made all the line changes, all the timing changes, all the cuts, and so forth. I know that Glenn Hall, I think, directed it one year. I got the Sherlock Holmes show by accident. I came over to CBS Studios on Sunset Boulevard one day to rehearse for another show, and the lobby was loaded with announcers. Practically every announcer in Hollywood was there. I couldn't figure out what was going on, and as the secretary came out with her list and said George or Sam or whoever, I said, "What's going on here?" And she said they're auditioning for a new show. And I said, "Who's holding the audition?" They said, "Edna Best." Edna Best was a lovely, lovely lady. I had worked with her on other shows. And I said, "If she has a moment, let me sneak into the studio, if you don't mind, just to say hello, and I'll come right back out." She said, "I'll ask." So she came out a little later and said, "You can go in for just a second." I went in, stepped in front of the microphone, which was set up in the studio, and said, "Edna, I came in to say hello. Hello, bye-bye." And I started to leave. And she said, "Aren't you going to read?" And I said, "Well, no, I hadn't planned to read." She said, "Well, as long as you're here, read anyway." So she gave me the copy that they were auditioning. And I said, "Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to see you again." And I left, never dreaming that I would ever get it. Because there were big-name announcers, the Ken Carpenters, the Ken Niles, the Wendell Niles, a whole bunch of them. And sure enough, I got a call, and that's how I wound up on the show, because I happened to be in CBS at that time.
Petri Wine brings you Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce in the New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?